As a 7-year cancer survivor, here are the foods that I avoid to help stay cancer-free. You obviously know that there are foods that can cause cancer, but which ones really make a difference and which ones are just a myth? Of course, you would do anything to stay cancer-free, but you don't want to unnecessarily deprive yourself of foods you love if it's going to make absolutely no difference to your cancer risk. In this video, I'm showing you the exact foods that are known to increase your risk of cancer or increase your risk of a cancer recurrence. These are the foods that you're going to want to limit or avoid. Starting with number 1, processed meats. These delicious meats have been widely included in our diets, but studies have shown a strong link between processed meats and your risk of cancer. The World Health Organization classifies processed meats. These are things like bacon, sausage, hot dogs. Well, they classify them as a category 1 carcinogen, meaning that there's sufficient evidence to show that processed meats increases your risk of cancer. To reduce your risk of cancer from processed meats, many people opt for nitrate-free options, but it's unlikely to really make a big impact. Let me explain. It's long been believed that nitrates are what increases the risk of cancer when it comes to processed meats, but this has never been proven. In a 2016 meta-analysis, which is a very high-quality piece of scientific evidence, they found that there was no difference in cancer risk between people who ate processed meats and people who ate processed meats without nitrates. It's thought that there's something in processed meats that's increasing the risk of cancer. It just might not be discovered yet, but it's unconvincing that we can actually just blame nitrates. Now, most of the literature around processed meats increasing the risk of cancer have been done on red meats, so beef, pork. But what about white meat or fish? Now, canned fish is very safe for cancer survivors. It does not increase the risk of cancer, and for some cancers, it actually lowers the risk. The canning process actually doesn't add many preservatives or extra ingredients. The only thing that you'll need to be mindful is the salt content. Now, as most of the literature surrounding processed meats is on red meat, it's thought to be safer to choose white meat alternatives. Okay, but here is the second food that I avoid to help stay cancer-free: sugary drinks. When we think about sugary drinks, we often think about pop, soda pop, Coke, Pepsi, something like that. But we also need to consider sugary coffee drinks. There are many Starbucks drinks that are loaded with sugar. Now, the relationship between sugar and cancer is more complex than you might think. Now, excessive consumption of sugary drinks has been linked to increasing the risk of cancer, especially breast and pancreatic cancer. But sugar does not directly cause cancer. Here's why. Sugar actually contributes to the risk of type 2 diabetes and obesity, and these two things increase your risk of cancer. Additionally, a high sugar intake may also cause inflammation in your body, and that can promote cancer growth. Now, many people will argue the Warburg effect for the rationale behind why sugar causes cancer. Basically, Dr. Warburg discovered that cancer needs a lot of sugar in order to grow. That's it. That's all he discovered. It's completely accurate and it's completely true. But this leads a lot of people to make the leap that if you stop eating sugar, you won't get cancer. And this is completely wrong. If you stop eating sugar, cancer will find another way to grow. However, eating an excessive amount of sugar does contribute to weight gain, especially sugary drinks, because you can drink them so quickly and consume a lot of calories. And being at an unhealthy body weight increases your risk of cancer. Okay, but on to the next food that I avoid: trans fats. Now, there is a lot of debate in the cancer nutrition space, but no one is debating trans fats. They're terrible for you, and many countries are even banning them now. Now, let's talk about trans fats and fried food. Now, trans fats are known to contribute to obesity and heart disease, but trans fats can also increase your risk of cancer, especially colorectal cancer. The reason for this is that trans fats cause inflammation in the body, which can damage cellular DNA. And that damage to the cell's DNA can lead to cancer. So instead of frying foods in unhealthy oils, opt for healthier baking options like grilling or baking or steaming. That change can not only reduce your risk of cancer, but it's also going to promote your heart health. Okay, and on to the next section, and this one, it's dear to my heart: alcohol. Alcohol is known for its potential to damage DNA and lead to cancer. It was once believed that alcohol did have some benefits, antioxidants from red wine, but these same antioxidants can easily be consumed from your food. Now, alcohol has been shown to increase the risk of several types of cancer: breast, colorectal, liver cancer. Now, I love wine and craft beer. I even love a cocktail. But since being diagnosed with cancer myself, I have really pulled back on the amount of alcohol I drink. It's essential to understand the relationship between alcohol and cancer. Alcohol is known to cause damage to cellular DNA and interfere with the body's ability to repair that DNA. Alcohol also increases the production of harmful chemicals, which can lead to cancer. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to completely eliminate alcohol from your life, but moderation, it's key. For women, if you drink less than 1 drink per day or less than 7 drinks per week, then you increase your risk of cancer by about 9%. But if you drink less than half a drink a day or less than 4 drinks per week, then you increase your risk of cancer by only about 4%. So if you don't want to completely give up drinking, that's understandable. But you're gonna want to pull back on the number of drinks you have every week. And this is proven to lower your risk of cancer. Okay, on to the next food that's linked to cancer, and that's high salt foods. High salt foods can definitely be problematic. A diet that's rich in high salt foods or high sodium foods, well, that's been linked to an increased risk of esophageal or stomach cancer. Now, some of us have a soft spot for salty foods, but that salt, it can be harmful. That high salt content can irritate the lining of the esophagus and the stomach, and that's what can lead to cancer. So to mitigate this risk, you can choose low salt or fresh alternatives. And reducing your sodium intake is not only going to lower your risk of cancer, but again, it's going to benefit your heart health. A high sodium diet can lead to heart attacks or strokes. Okay, and the next food that increases your risk of cancer, well, this one's pretty obvious, but I have to mention it: fast food. Fast food and highly processed foods, well, they're easy and they're a quick meal option, but they're gonna lead to more harm than good. These foods are loaded with unhealthy trans fats, high sugar, and excessive salts. They contribute to obesity, which is a well-established risk factor of cancer. Now, fast food chains are convenient, but they offer unhealthy options. These meals are usually calorie dense and nutrient poor, which can increase your risk of obesity and gaining weight, which increases your risk of cancer. To reduce your risk of cancer, opt for whole, non-processed foods whenever you can. Cook your meals at home using fresh ingredients so you have control over the food that goes into your body. It's obvious, right? But sometimes life happens, and when you're in a pinch, the only option available to you might be fast food options. Here's how you're gonna navigate that. There are some healthy options at places like Starbucks, McDonald's, or Chick-fil-A. You just have to go looking for them. Now at Chick-fil-A, the grilled chicken nuggets are a great option, and you can pair it with a kale side salad. Or at Starbucks, you can order the spinach and egg white wrap, loaded with protein from the spinach and from the egg whites. These are both great things for cancer survivors. Okay, but on to the next cancer-causing food, and that is charred meats. Charred meats are a potential concern when it comes to cancer risk. When foods like meat or poultry are cooked at high temperatures or over an open flame, then they can develop cancer-causing chemicals. These are things like heterocyclic amines or polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. These compounds have been linked to increasing your risk of cancer, especially when you consume them in high amounts. But you can reduce your risk of these compounds by first marinating your meat in an acidic marinade, something like lemon juice or a vinegar, because that will help reduce the amount of these carbons that can stick to the meat. You could also cook over a lower flame and avoid overcooking or burning the meat. Okay, but on to the last food that I avoid to help reduce my risk of cancer, and that's high glycemic index foods. High glycemic index foods are foods that quickly increase the blood sugar, and those have been linked to causing cancer. These are diets that are high in foods like white bread, sugary cereal, or white rice. They can lead to elevated blood sugars, insulin spikes, and eventually can develop cancer. Now, don't get me wrong here. If you absolutely love bread and rice, you don't have to completely stop eating them. You do not want to entirely eliminate them from your diet. If you like them, still eat them, but just do it less frequently. To reduce the high glycemic issue here, try opting for whole grains or legumes and beans. These foods release sugar into the bloodstream, but at a slower amount, and over a longer period of time, so you're not going to get that spike in your blood sugar. But look, food is about so much more than just your risk of cancer. Food is cultural, it's social, it's how we connect and celebrate, it's how we show people we love them. While these foods do increase your risk of cancer, if you eat them regularly, they may still have a small place in your life. And that's okay. Enjoy them. But just work to limit or save them for a special occasion if possible. Okay, so it's important to know what foods to avoid, but it's just as important to know what foods to include. I've linked up this next video here, so let's dive in. Click the link here. I'll see you in the next video.